Good morning and thank you for joining us. This morning we wanted to go through what's involved in actually getting a new kitchen fitted. Some people say it's a complex process, but it's one of those processes that we feel and would strongly recommend that if you work with our experienced professional design team, that you'll find this is not as cumbersome and it is not as complex as you would consider. We will guide you, we'll hold your hands, we'll do everything that's needed. I've broken this down into a series of steps, probably about 10, and each one sort of will help to give you some guidance as to what you're considering when you think of this. And you should, in the cold light of day with a coffee in your hand, probably sit down and study some of the points of it so that you can be well prepared. The first aspect, and probably the main one, is to choose a design for your kitchen. It's a time to be creative, and I'm sure it's a time that people have thought in the past about how their current kitchen fits in their lifestyle. And at BRKBB Design, we're happy to partner with you and help you to visualise what your kitchen's going to look like in 3 dimensions. It's always important to remember that you can now, in these days, take that design from a 2D plan with elevations to a very sophisticated set of drawings, even walkthroughs, and this can help fantastically to let you see what your kitchen is going to be visualised like. To consider kitchen cupboards, you'll want to choose a look for your cupboards. You're the only one that actually knows when you discuss it, and you're guided by designers. Do you like a modern feel? Do you like a more old-fashioned feel? Or are you really ultra-modern? You have to think about each school of design and work out how it would maybe blend in your home. Not only that, but how it would look in the future. The famous thing about selling a house, making sure that what you have designed into it is something that will be appealing to people so they don't have the cost of reinstalling something. Think about how it fits, how the kitchen cupboards will fit with your existing personal tastes. And your choice of kitchen is going to last you for many years. And so take your time and choose wisely and try to get it right first time. Within each of the types of design, there's a wide variety of colour choices in doors and in laminate based kitchen cupboard doors. When you're looking at the cupboards also, it's a good important point to think about how much natural light gets into your existing kitchen. You maybe want to doing adaptions, and if that's the case, it may help the light process, but if not, you need to consider how much light your kitchen receives on a day. You may find it preferable to use lighter colours that are more reflective for light, or go even pure white so that you get the maximum out of it. But once you've decided on your kitchen cupboards, you'll not need to map out where you consider the kitchen cupboards might go. One thing I always say to people to consider is if there's a boiler in your kitchen, look at it, and it's a good time to maybe decide if you want to reposition it, if you can do. If you can't, then obviously you can work around it. Generally speaking, kitchen units fall into simply 2 categories. People will be aware of this. There are base units which stand on adjustable feet and supports. They're usually obviously on your floor, and they provide the basis of any support needed for worktops. Then there are wall units which are fitted above the base units and are positioned in such a way as to leave access to your work surfaces, etc. If you have areas in kitchens where there are windows, you'll find that it's mainly base units which are fit along those areas, but they can also be beside the windows. They can be wall units as well, giving some storage capability. Base units and wall units and even tall units are available in a significant amount of sizes and configurations, with corner units as well if people want those for access, and they're available to be fitted into your design. So at the point that you're speaking about design, your designer will explain all that to you and make sure that you're comfortable in the storage capability that you're getting. It's useful to know that wall units are usually much shallower in depth than base units. That's to allow you to get access to the units and the work surfaces beneath. So that's basically where that is. After you've looked at that, I suppose kitchen worktops are Nowadays, there's such a variety of kitchen worktops available, and it is understood that laminates still remain the biggest choice for people. Not necessarily for a tight budget. Some of the laminates these days are fantastic. They replicate solid, surfaces that look like granites, etc. So they can be very capable. So it's no longer something I think that it's just because you have a tight budget you use a laminate. There's a wide range of custom quartz and granites to choose from also in the marketplace. If you decide to go with something like natural stone, you will find that quartz tends to be lighter in colour, probably ranging somewhere from sort of like a near white to a mid-grey, whereas granites are darker and they can range up to fairly dark grey to nearly black or black. So depending again on what you feel you want in your taste, you get an understanding of kitchen worktops and just work out what your preferable choice is. In terms of textures, I suppose it's realistic to believe that quartz tends to be smooth and it's easily wiped. Granites have a more natural roughness to them and need a fair bit of aftercare when they've been installed. I think it's important to realise too that you should never put hot saucepans on any likes of oven dishes which have been cooked directly onto your worktops, because you can damage them, and it's preferable to sort of take that care, right? The next is kitchen sinks and taps, and I suppose really over the last number of years, stainless steel probably turns out to be the preferred option in most cases. But if you decided on, say, quartz or granite worktops, you may want to pair it with something that is compatible in colour. By its nature, stone sinks are hard wearing and they're fairly robust and don't dent the same as a stainless steel might. Though it is important to understand that stone sinks can stain more easily and they do need careful cleaning during the whole of their lifetimes. Whatever you choose in terms of a sink, it's important to understand there are a few types, but basically it's a single tub. It's and also what is called a 1.5 sink configuration. The 1.5 is a main tub, which is accompanied by a narrower tub that comes handy for washing your hands or washing up with running cold water over the hot water without running it in your main tub. I would say we generally recommend the 1.5 unless you have a very small kitchen and you're pressed for space. Taps come in a variety of designs, different price points, so that again it's just a question of taste and looking at it and deciding on what do you want, quality against cost, or are you happy with what's on offer. Mixer taps are standard now in new kitchens these days. It's a big advantage. Make sure that it rises to a good height above your sink so that there's room for rinsing pots and pans and baking trays, and that you sort of continually striking the top of the work surface, which could have a nuisance value. After this, body needs to consider kitchen appliances. When it comes to appliances, there's two main schools of thought in this that people have to be aware of. One is that their appliances are they integrated or they are freestanding. Modern kitchens are very sleek and they do include a lot of flush fitting integrated ovens and hobs and dishwashers and refrigerators and freezers and washing machines, so that everything is very slick and very capable. The integrated looks fantastic, and a lot of the equipment of these days has got a very high specification. The thing about integrated appliances as you go up to that sophistication is that they do carry a price premium, and it's important that you consider this over the likes of freestanding if budget is a tight aspect for you. Again, if you're freestanding appliances left over from your last kitchen, it's important. If you can use them, it would be important to just use them, because it keeps, in order to save you on cost. You might have even preferences for freestanding, so it's entirely up to you at that point to build that into your design. It's worth considering splashbacks and wall tiles. that's the space between your work surface and your wall units. And if you feel like tiling, you can choose from any types of tiles, brick shaped, metro tiles, all various colours. But the alternative sometimes these days, which people class more modern, is to use the splashback, which is a made to measure fitted layer, usually of toughened glass, on your wall. It can be coloured however you like. A great opportunity to contrast with your kitchen colouring. So if your cupboards are light, you might want the splashback darker. If your cupboards are dark, you might want the splashback light. But it will reflect your personality once you're choosing those. Let's now consider what I've called the next major steps in your kitchen renewal or installation. I suppose the first step in this is looking at the removal of your old kitchen. Before you can put in the new one, it's essential that the old one is taken out and is out of the way, and you might want to salvage something for another appliance for to be used in a garage or to be used outside in a utility room or whatever. But if you've committed to replacing them, then it's time to get the new ones in and create your new style. There'll be power tools involved, and you'll have to take out units and clear them out of your home and have some sort of off-site disposal area where you can put all your existing kitchen paraphernalia. At this stage, when that's been cleared, once they're out of the way, you're probably looking at a messy look with your walls and floor visible to you. This is a good time to look at your walls and make sure that if there's anything like dampness, which one would hope there isn't, that you'd have to hire a specialist or treat the damp and make sure that that's sorted out before you would start to look at installing a new kitchen. You might need replastering in some cases, but perhaps on some walls you may have a really bad wall covering, and that's not right wallpapers or tiling, etc. You need to get all that removed before you go any further. Probably it would make sense at this stage, just when you've got your walls in the state of play that they're in, if they are in fairly reasonable shape, etc., just give them an undercoat. Because by the time your kitchen has been installed, your painting may need a bit of touching up, so it's a good time to just get rid of any stains and cover off any new plaster that's needed, and make sure that you've put on your first coat of paint. You might not know what your final colour is, but it's better to maybe have that just coated with an undercoat before you start. It's important at this stage to look at your kitchen, the ceiling and the lighting. At one stage it used to be that there was only one option for lighting, which was a centre position light in a kitchen, but that's totally changed nowadays with fluorescent tube lamps. They give a fairly efficient energy source of bright lights, and sometimes now they can all look cumbersome, and people have moved on. People have discovered that fluorescent tubes give headaches and tend to flicker, so that there's moved on to very attractive, high energy efficient alternatives in the form of multiple LED lamps, which can be flush fitted in your ceilings. They could be installed without unsightly cables and stuff like that. And like your electrician, you got to take into account will need access usually from above, which often means through your floors above, so it's always hoped that they're accessible and that you're not coming through a bathroom which has solid ceramic or porcelain tiling, but whatever needs must. You probably find these days that in a kitchen, a typical 6-5 watt LED lamps are enough to keep an average sized kitchen very brightly lit from above. 30 watts is a lot less than the output of a traditional tube lamp. But the best time to install your kitchen ceiling lighting is after you've settled on the kitchen design, but before you install the kitchen units. You have to look at that and make sure that is done at the time, because you're probably going to need a plaster to help maybe cover over any work that's been done in the kitchen at this stage. The next part is to look at kitchen electrics and gas. Probably at the same time as your ceiling's been fitted, or even if you don't need to change any ceiling lighting, you should think about all the electrical sockets and points in your kitchen. Are there a sufficient number? Are they ready for any new appliances? If you're going to install electric cookers, you usually have a dedicated electric cooker point that can cope with the electric demands of your model of cooker. Any electrician will be able to advise you on what is needed. It's important to notice that many older kitchens in the 1980s will probably be found to have insufficient numbers of power points in the walls by current standards, and certainly if you're refitting a kitchen from the 70s, 60s or even 50s, it's a virtual certainty that you'll need to have the kitchen electrics completely looked at, maybe renewed, or certainly significantly upgraded. It's probably recommended these days to install anything between 6 and 8 double sockets in an average 21st century kitchen to allow convenient access for all your appliances. There's a wide choice of finishes today. They come in a variety of styles with white or black. You can have brushed, which is a rougher finish, or polished, which is a more reflective chrome. If you're having your electrics renewed, have a think about which sockets would look best in the context of the rest of your kitchen. That's something which to consider at the design point, and it should be brought up to you with the designer so that you really think about it and go out and look at those aspects that are important. Once all your new electrics are in place, you may have to get the plaster back in and to cover up any holes where wiring has been chased along walls. It needs to be competent, it needs to be good plaster, it needs to be a smooth finish, and at least it looks good to make sure that it tallies with how impressive your kitchen's going to look. If you're going to use gas appliances, you need to ensure there's a safe and adequate mains gas supply to the point at which your gas and ovens will be installed, and that's a job for a gas safety engineer. Once that's complete, you need to look then at your kitchen floor and your selection and installation. And before you have your new kitchen installed, it's really in the design process. You should be thinking about whether or not you want to change your flooring. If you have an unappealing floor, it's best to sort of remove them. You can actually get that removed and pick your flooring and decide once you've determined that once your old floor covering has been removed, you can fit new tiles, you can put laminate or even hardwood on your kitchen floor. Ceramic and porcelain tiles are increasingly popular choices for new kitchens, and if you're going to choose glazed ones in pale colours, they can help to keep your kitchen bright by reflecting more light. You can also find that there's different tile grouting that you can use, which actually can emphasise the tiles or can add to the general aesthetics of it. So it's up to you to think about those aspects. You may have to look at it. Many tile people prefer grey or black grouting on kitchen floors because it disguises stains, but white grouting can also look very elegant on pale tiles. Floor tiles need not cover all parts of your kitchen floor that will be hidden underneath your kitchen base units. They should, however, extend under the areas where all freestanding appliances, including cookers and washing machines, dishwashers, fridges and freezers, will be installed, and under visible bottom panels of your kitchen base units. And a final thing to consider when you're doing your tiling is to consider skirting boards. It doesn't look good to leave a bare patch or hole between flooring and walls in kitchens, so if you've had to rip out your old kitchen, include any skirting, you may need to have new skirting boards put down in areas that will be completely covered by your new kitchen. Will not be covered completely by your new kitchen base units. Best time to install that might be after your kitchen base units have been installed. After this comes the main kitchen installation. You've sort of done all the rest. You've done the ceilings, you've done the wiring, you've done the sockets, you've had the plaster in and you've painted, and basically at this stage you put your new floor is in place. You can be ready to have your new kitchen cupboards installed. It's a job for the professional fitters, which be your KBB Design. can provide. Your units are prepared, all the components have been done, everything has been manufactured and is available to you as per your design, where you've put a lot of detail and effort into. Your LED lighting should be there, ready for wall mounting, and providing that the wiring has all been left by the electrician in the same place. There may be a separate team involved just with worktops who will need to be brought in once the kitchen cupboards are in place. Integrated appliances normally be installed by your kitchen fitters, but the installation of some electric cookers will be a job for your electrician. Finally, your electric or gas installation. Once your fitters have finished their work on the cupboards and worktops, if you have a new electric cooker, your electrician will probably need to return to wire it in to the dedicated socket for you and to test that it's working properly and safely. If you're a new gas cooker, a gas safety engineer will be needed to ensure that it's properly and safely installed. After this process, it's really the installation of the kitchen splashbacks and wall tiles, and that's really cosmetic. If they haven't already been fitted by your kitchen fitters, your splashbacks can be installed at this point. Finally, it's when everything's done and everything's in place, and all that remains to be done is for you to give that final coat of paint to the area. It's strongly recommended that you cover kitchen taps, sinks and worktops and with some sort of protective material or a plastic film or blankets at this stage to make sure everything's kept intact. That basically is the process that's involved in planning, designing, and the routine that is involved in actually getting to the stage where your project is then finished. And BRKBB Design are experts with our own kitchen designers available to you to assist you in your project, and we work with installers that offer a complete service, so we look forward to hearing from you.